Hey everybody, this is Peter Palmiotti, and this is day 35 of my 100 Days of Making Has Comics. And I thought it would be important that I have to really sit down and make a color guide for my hero retro. Because, even though I got a bunch of pinups and the cover colored up, they were all done separately, and um, the colors are different. um, so this is, I just gotta make a simple drawing here with, most important is just to have the essential design of his costume and elements, and so I can really, do like sort of a simplified ink drawing, and then duplicate it, and then go in with different colors and see what I want as the definitive colors to my character, so that when when I get to the coloring phase of the comic, then I can really say, hey, here's what you follow, to the colorist. So because I've gone back and forth in my head on what exactly, like the red is obvious. Red is essentially the regular red, the brightest red. If you've seen any of the retro pieces in color, you know what I'm talking about. But the purple is like, there's different ways to go. There's purple with more blue, there's purple with more red, and I want to figure out exactly the balance I want to go with. I'm kind of thinking like, it might be like Magneto. Like Magneto's red and purple. It might be that purple. So this is just a doodle of essentially what I am going to be doing. So final drawing will hopefully be a little better, but so he's got his retro belt, and there'll be typical patches, pouches. So I've been doing my 100 days videos, my new show, the morning show, and still trying to get the balance right. So one day I'll do the morning show, the other day I'll do my 100-day video. I got just a lot going on behind the scenes, and hopefully I can get get on top of it and get it sorted to where, I really want to work like a regular work day, and um, to where most of what I do will be inking, because I gotta get on the retro pages and the blood rights pages, and I just talked to Rodney, the artist of blood rights, and he's going to uh, gather up all the pencil pages that he has that I don't have, and he decided, yes, he's going to send me the original artwork so I can ink over the original artwork, because that for me is always the better option. I work much better over original pencils. Um, and yeah, I'm looking to get my skills up. Um, I'm happy with a lot of what I've been doing lately as far as inking goes, but I know I could do better, and the best way for me to push my skills forward is really to do it as a regular schedule. Um, and I've been doing this and that and jumping back and forth, and I need to get focused with it. So I'm looking towards. It's such a Rob Liefeld thing. I knocked his feet out. Yeah, I'm looking to balance sort of my online presence, and what exactly I want to do, videos and whatnot, and just work out a day schedule. I wanna stop working into the night if I can. And maybe I'll change my mind on that. That's neither here nor there. That doesn't really affect the outcome of, of my workload whenever I work. So we're working on that, and like I mentioned last episode, sort of client work. Client work is definitely going to finance a lot of what I really want to accomplish. It will help me improve my setup, allow me to get the supplies I need, art supplies, and really just a lot of things I need for my studio. Potentially, like definitely by next year, I'm going to be able to get at least one assistant. And I want to up my game in all ways. I'm probably even going to take a lot of art courses next year, because even though it's like I love the first issue of Retro, the artwork, but Rich has taken a turn in his career. He's not necessarily looking to do comics, and trying to look towards the future myself, and I know some amazing artists I can get to pencil a book, but since Retro is such my baby. I might decide to do it myself. I'm not skill wise. I'm not there yet. Um, but maybe by the time ready to start the second issue, and I'm not looking to rush into it. You know, I figure I'll get a one-shot arena out. I'll get the first issue of Blood Rights out. Um, I'll get the first issue of Retro out. I'll start mapping out more um, the bigger universe and the other characters of the potential not potential, the definite superhero team I want to do. I will have it, it's all sort of works in progress and sort of the grassroots. I don't know, the bare beginnings in many ways. Even though, like, I created the team I have in mind years ago. Um, I might go with a different set of heroes. It was just I'm not sold on the team I created, so it's still a work in progress in that sense. But Retro will be part of the team, and I'm gonna have sort of a diverse cast. Um, so yeah, it's okay. So I'll say this. Like, I remember back in the day seeing some sort of like Spider-Man character sheet. Um, and it had two things. It had this is Spider-Man in good lighting, whether he's outside in daylight or inside wherever, with good lighting. And this is what he looks like in the shadows. And if you know Spider-Man, he's essentially red and blue. And the blue on him half the time is mostly black, depending on the artist and interpretation and all that. Um, and I thought it was really neat that on this character sheet or whatever it was for, that it showed Spider-Man and his red and blue. And then in shadow, it was slightly different. So you could tell it, you could still see it clearly. Like, I tend to hate like comics where the hero's in shadow and you can barely see any of their detail. I mean, part of the joy for me is the art in comics, um and yes, like, I like when it's clear, like, okay, he's he's in the shadows now, but I still, as the reader, want to see him see him clearly. I understand, like, a couple of panels of him where you can only see, you know, very little body parts, but you could still tell it's the hero. Works in favor of the story and whatnot, or a particular scene. But I still like to see them fully. Um, so I thought it clever that they were showing this Spider-Man sheet, and it was only slightly off his regular color scheme that we saw, the difference in his colors. I forget exactly, but it might even have been like, you get the plain red and the plain blue. What do you call it? Primary red and primary blue, almost. And then in shadows, it would be those colors with a slight overlay of maybe purple. And it depends, on the scene the hero is in. Maybe there's yellow lights around him or green lights, so that sort of effect will be altered because of those reasons. But typically, like the character in shadow would be consistent, so you can always spot the hero on the page and in every panel. Coloring is very important, and I have such a encyclopedia already. Even though I'm not a colorist per se, but I have like theories on how things should be colored, and I do kind of want to lean in a direction of like back in the day when you had the limited color scheme, the heroes really popped, and I want to deliver that in that way. But yeah, I mean, a lot of colorists are digital colorists, and they sort of throw 1,000 colors on a page. The problem with that is regardless of how gifted the colorists are, it's sort of like all the coloring looks the same, if you know what I mean. And I want to at least attempt to avoid that. Now, mind you, everything, is like you write a story, you get the story pencils, you get the story ink, you get the story colored. You go in with a certain amount of ideas, but I know how I work as an inker is to be given freedom. So, while let me do it this way. I may be given certain directives. Like I always ask the penciler I'm working with, who do you see inking your work? Like, meaning throw me a couple of inkers who you see meshing with your style good. Like, so if it's a Klaus Janson, then there's certain things Klaus Janson does. If it's Al Williamson, there's certain things Al Williamson does. Dan Green, and on and on and on. I might be mentioning names you don't know, but trust me, different inkers, different styles. So there are penciler inker teams where figures are more prominent than backgrounds. So you'll have bold figure work, and sort of maybe even loose, even hands-free background work. Then there's, like Terry Austin over John Byrne back in the X-Men. Everything was super, super tight and gorgeous. And that's, it's like certain things, based on the anchor you have, or what have you, that things will look a certain way regardless of what the pencils look like going to the anchor. And there's things I want to deliver in the final printed book, that maybe they won't work. Maybe with computer coloring, you can't always get that sort of boldness that we had in the earlier days of comics. Maybe it's necessary that that coloring is done in a certain scheme, certain way. And I'm just doodling here. I don't know. But I like to, like, at least lay out to the colorist a certain criteria of, this is kind of what I'm looking for, and I'm not sure if you can produce it, or just lean towards it. Okay, this is what I was going to say. Like, when I go in, whenever I'm inking a book, I like a good amount of freedom to do my own thing. So if the artist is looking for sort of a scratchy style, I'll go in scratchy style, but add my own style on top of that, or with that. If they're looking for super tight, more follow the lines, I'll do that. And typically what I'll do is I'll really punch up the figure work, or what's prominent within each panel, that sort of thing. Because as an anchor, it's more than just following the lines. It's adding to, even subtly, the storytelling of the pages and the panels. And so while I may have a certain criteria in mind, the way things should be colored or presented, it's like, I'm not going to be hardcore. This is 100% what you should be doing to the colorist. It will be more like, we'll start working together, and I'll give them a few things just to keep in mind and maybe do if the work allows. And as we both see the results, to have a conversation with them down the line, and say, okay, I could clearly see this is working and this isn't, and let's lean in this direction. Because, when you're grinding away, I know as an anchor, there's already 1,000 things in my head for every freaking line I put down. A lot of it, because I've been doing it so long, is muscle memory and just past experience of knowing the kind of results I can accomplish. So it's something that, in my eye, even with the most amazing team on a book, the first issue is always, in a large part, a learning experience. So that's sort of my philosophy behind what will be my company, is that really I want to have teams that stick around and grow and work out all these little behind the scenes kind of details that, can only be accomplished by people who have worked for an extended a period of time together. So so yeah, I expect that a lot of my sort of coloring philosophies um, may or may not pan out over time. You may not see any of it in the first issues of my books. And, it might even be the case where I'll just do a specific or one-shot book with, with the ideas in that, but more maybe a extreme version of that, just to sort of play with the ideas and concepts I have in mind, and see if they hold up. Um, part of why comics are a freaking art form is because you can really mess with such a small amount of concepts and produce material, books and whatnot, that deliver such extremes and minor little changes to produce just beautiful works. It's like I am a fan of comics from a young age, and it was really the art that drew me in. And yeah, I mean, it's like I love comics, and that's why I want to do bunches and bunches of them. And in many ways, I'm just happy working on them, which I'll be given a grand opportunity next year of working on so many things. But producing my own comics is like, we'll produce books more in the direction of my philosophies behind, how books should look, design wise and storytelling wise, and everything and anything, even the ads in the back, and uh, even to the effect of, how I will be getting books out there. And, I look forward to discussing with my team, not only my art team, but the sort of the business side, what my thoughts on doing everything. And yeah, so, a lot has happened within the last couple of months, especially within the last couple of weeks, that are going to change things for myself personally in big ways. And I'm just excited to be doing this for a living, even though it's hardcore. I'm just getting by each week currently. There are good things afoot for the what's next. So yeah, so I've been wanting to focus on sharpening my skills and I'm sort of designing my schedule for the remainder of this year to that effect. So that, one, I'm drawing more. One, I'm definitely I'll be inking more, and as well as sort of cleaning up my previous workload, get rid of things that have been hanging around and all that sorts of jazz. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, I'm going to be doing this as a more fleshed out, sketchy sketch that I'll be inking, and that will be so I can duplicate it a bunch of times and do sort of slightly different color variations, so I could pick one that's definitively the color scheme I want to go with. And yeah, so I'll be probably digging into that again tomorrow. Because retro means a lot to me, and I want to get him right, and I don't want to leave it to chance. I want to define his colors. And yeah, I might have an interview later today. Maybe if I could squeeze it in, I'll do the morning show, but it's morning somewhere. And so I'm not sure when I'll be able to do it. And yeah, I also got to make money so I can eat tomorrow. So I gotta maybe do some things in that world. Right now, as it stands, my computer is shit. So I apologizing for not checking the chat as I go, as I stream. But that's due to once I try to open up another window, everything comes to a halt. So in the future, that won't be an issue because I used to be really good when my computer was functioning to do a live stream and say hi to the chat and all that, but it's just giving me problems right now. So apologies. So yeah, comment below your thoughts and your process. If you have any tips, I'm always open to read how other people do things. I got a studio synergy that would be Saturday morning, 10 a.m., I believe. If you want to join, message me on Facebook. Otherwise, you'll be able to watch that. The link is on my YouTube page. I made a new YouTube cover with my signature. If you can go check that out, I got a kick out of making that. Yeah, I had my retro logo on my YouTube cover, but it's like retro isn't the only thing I'm going to be doing. So I thought I'd put my signature there, and I got other ideas I'll be adding to it. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. And I love you all for checking out my video, and I'll see you again shortly. All right, take care, everybody. Love ya.